June 1940. A dusty motor pool in Alexandria bakes under the afternoon sun. A 43-year-old signals officer, his uniform sitting awkwardly on him, walks slowly past a line of ordinary Chevrolet trucks. He presses a thumb into worn tire walls, checks oil with practiced calm, studies each vehicle like it's about to be tested far beyond its design. Because it is. These aren't military machines. They are civilian haulers, two-wheel drive, 85 horsepower, built for city deliveries, the kind a Cairo grocer might use to move sacks of flour. No armor. No off-road capability. No special modifications. Just basic trucks with their roofs cut away, sitting in the heat. He has 6 weeks. Almost no budget. And a task that borders on absurd: take these vehicles across the largest sand sea on Earth. On paper, it's impossible. In reality, over the next 3 years, trucks just like these will travel more than 1,000 miles behind enemy lines. They'll destroy dozens of aircraft on the ground. They'll feed intelligence into the planning of major operations. They'll guide the earliest successful missions of the Special Air Service. They'll help chart the route that allows Bernard Montgomery to outmaneuver Axis defenses at the Maith Line. They will operate in terrain the military insists cannot be crossed, and survive conditions that kill purpose-built army vehicles in weeks. These are the patrol trucks of the Long Range Desert Group, arguably the most effective deep reconnaissance force of the Second World War. And the man buying them is Ralph Bagnold. To understand how this worked, you have to understand what Bagnold already knew. In June 1940, Britain faced a strategic problem. Italy had just entered the war. Its 10th Army in Libya outnumbered British forces in Egypt more than 4-1. To the south stretched the Libyan desert, 1,500 miles of emptiness from the Nile to the interior. Military doctrine dismissed it outright. No army could operate there. No vehicle could survive there. It wasn't a battlefield. It was a void. Bagnold disagreed. Between 1926 and 1938, he had spent years exploring that void, leading expeditions deep into the desert using civilian cars and trucks. He covered journeys of up to 6,000 miles, learning, through trial, failure, and persistence, how the desert actually worked. In 1929, at a remote well, he made a simple but critical discovery: halve tire pressure, and heavy vehicles stop sinking, they float across soft sand. That insight alone would save countless lives. By 1932, he completed the first recorded east-to-west crossing of the entire Libyan desert. Along the way, he invented what his future unit would need: a sun compass that worked while moving, a radiator system that recycled lost water, steel sand channels for instant traction. Solutions born not from theory, but from survival. So when war came, Bagnold didn't see an obstacle. He saw an opportunity. He proposed it directly: small, self-contained patrols and desert-adapted trucks, operating deep behind enemy lines, gathering intelligence and carrying out what he bluntly called acts of piracy. When asked how he intended to reach Libya, he pointed at the map. Straight through the middle. He was given 6 weeks. The truck he chose was the Chevrolet 30 hundredweight, a simple American-built chassis with a 6-cylinder engine, rear-wheel drive, and a range of about 240 miles on standard fuel. Unremarkable. Cheap. Available. Perfect. Because what mattered wasn't what the truck was, it was what it could become. Bagnold's men stripped them down. Windscreens and doors were removed to eliminate glare that could be spotted from miles away. Sun compasses were installed. Radiator condensers fitted. Wooden side extensions, greedy boards, increased carrying capacity. Those same supports doubled as weapon mounts. They added racks for sand channels, mounts for spare wheels, brackets for weapons. Then came the fuel, jerry cans stacked and strapped until each truck carried more than twice its rated load. Range stretched beyond 1,000 miles. Each vehicle became a self-contained unit, crew of 3 or 4, heavily armed, capable of disappearing into the desert for weeks at a time. Weapons evolved as the war went on. Light machine guns gave way to twin aircraft guns with devastating rates of fire. Anti-tank rifles were mounted centrally. Captured 20mm cannon became prized additions. Inside, submachine guns were within reach. Every man carried a rifle, a revolver, grenades. It wasn't elegant. But it worked. Their first major strike came in December 1940, a raid on Merzuk, deep in enemy territory. A force of 76 men crossed over 1,400 miles of desert, terrain the enemy considered impassable, and hit the target with complete surprise. Aircraft were destroyed. The garrison thrown into chaos. It set the tone for everything that followed. But raids weren't their greatest contribution. Information was. From 1941 to 1943, the Long-Range Desert Group ran continuous surveillance along the Via Balbia, the main supply route linking Axis forces across North Africa. Patrols rotated endlessly. One watching. One en route. One returning. 4 months at a time, observation was nearly constant. Small teams lay hidden within 30 yards of the road, often unarmed, identifying passing vehicles by sound and silhouette in the dark. Every movement was logged, type, direction, numbers, and transmitted nightly. This data allowed British intelligence to verify intercepted communications and accurately estimate enemy strength. According to Freddie de Gingand, Chief of Staff to Montgomery, it was the single most valuable contribution the unit made to the war. Their partnership with the SAS began badly, and changed everything. An early airborne raid ended in disaster, with heavy losses. It proved a harsh lesson: parachutes were unreliable in the desert. Trucks weren't. Soon, LRDG vehicles were delivering SAS teams directly to their targets. Raids became more effective, and far deadlier. They earned a nickname: the Desert Taxi Service. Not every mission ended cleanly. Patrols were ambushed. Men were killed or captured. Some survived only by walking hundreds of miles through open desert with almost nothing. But the unit endured. And its impact reached far beyond raids. In 1943, reconnaissance identified a previously unknown route through the Jebel Daha. That discovery allowed Allied forces to outflank Axis defenses at the Maith line. Montgomery later admitted the attack would have been a gamble without that intelligence. At its core, the Long-Range Desert Group was never about firepower. It was about understanding. Its motto said it all: not by strength, but by guile. That philosophy was proven when the Army tried replacing their Chevrolets with heavier, more powerful Ford trucks. On paper, the Fords were superior. In reality, they consumed twice the fuel, bogged down more easily, and failed under desert conditions. By the end of 1941, they were worn out. The Chevrolets came back. The war eventually pulled the unit out of the desert, to Greece, Italy, the Balkans. Losses mounted in unfamiliar terrain. The conditions that had once made them unbeatable no longer applied. But their legacy was already secured. One of their original trucks still survives today at the Imperial War Museum in London, recovered from the desert decades later, still carrying the sand of the Sahara in its frame. Back to where it started. June 1940. Alexandria. A middle-aged officer stands in a motor pool, buying cheap delivery trucks with government money. No armor. No advanced systems. No guarantees. Just a deep understanding of the environment, and the discipline to design around it. No satellites. No navigation systems. No air cover worth mentioning. They navigated by sun and stars. Carried everything they needed. Survived on simplicity. And they succeeded where conventional thinking said no one could. Because Bagnall understood something others didn't. In the desert, power means nothing without endurance. Complexity fails. Simplicity survives. And the right tool, no matter how ordinary it looks, can change the course of a war. Even Erwin Rommel acknowledged it: a small force in stripped-down trucks had caused disproportionate damage. 350 men. Civilian vehicles. A compass built from a needle. That isn't luck. That's design, applied with precision.